Hi, everybody. Oh, look, Blue's saying hi too. Amazing. I'm Georgia. I'm the artistic director and co-founder of Shatterbox Theatre, here for my second Shattercast with a very special guest today. The beautiful, the talented, the quadruple threat, and probably more threats that we're going to find out today. You guys may recognize her beautiful face and, of course, her beautiful voice. Megan Hutton of Instant Rivalry, the sister half of the duo, award-winning duo, which is awesome. How is isolating treating you guys?
It's fun. So I live with my brother and his family and my parents. So we've got a full house. Full house. You
Amazing.
know what that's like.
Yeah, all the kids and animals running around. I know. I just want to say that you guys have been doing a really great job with keeping busy actually during the quarantine, which is awesome because a lot of artists are trying to find ways, or some are even struggling, trying to figure out what the heck do I do? How do I continue the art? But you and your brother in the county were probably one of the first artists to find a way to use this to your advantage. Can you just like talk a little bit about that?
For sure. So we are very fortunate to have a home studio called Back 40 Productions, which has been a love project of Caleb's and mine for over a decade. We've always wanted to do these live concerts from the Back 40, but we've always been too busy. Um, when the pandemic started, it was right around St. Patrick's Day, and our community always has this beloved huge party at the Waring House in Picton. And we usually play at that. We weren't able to. So, us and the Frere brothers, we got together, we did a live stream that lasted for 2 or 3 hours, and it was viewed like 11,000 times. And Caleb and I ended up kickstarting Live from the Back 40, which
Amazing.
are live streams that happen twice a week.
It does happen twice a week. And I would have to say that I've never ever been out on St. Patty's Day ever in my life. I'm one of those people. I like to stay home and self isolate quite a bit, even outside of this pandemic. But that's probably the first time I ever went out in my pajamas at home and enjoyed St. Patty's Day. So it was your guys' first concert. So thank you for that. And
Well,
I felt really, really moved. And I know a lot of people in our community did because it brought us all together in a really difficult time. And that was during the early days. Like the county had shut down like all the municipal halls and everything and places at like the 15th. And so St. Patty's Day is the 17th. So this was really fresh, really early on for people. So that was great. And yeah, I just love seeing all the familiar faces kind of tuning into you guys, which is awesome. So music is obviously very near and dear to your heart. When did you decide to get into music? Like, what inspired you to do that? Like, was this like a very young Megan Hutton as a little girl running around singing? Was this, did someone else kind of spark that for you?
that's a really good question. Well, growing up, I was obsessed with the sound of music. And
Mm.
when I was like 3 to 5 years old, I used to run around families' homes and jump on their couches, and I would sing "I'm 16 going on 17" to the point that people were like, "Shut
Uh-oh.
up, you're being
Yeah.
annoying."
Yeah.
But as a little girl, my grandmother always sang, and she played piano and guitar and harpsichord and or piano. It's like a little omnichord thing. It's like a
Hmm.
piano harpsichord in a box, and I used to go around and sing with her in the church choir and at church and at different nursing homes. And then the older I got, I started performing with Caleb, and then a whole music career kind of got started. So my family would probably be the biggest reason I got into music. Other than that, I always knew, even when I was 3 or 4, like you get a feeling when you find what it is you're meant to do. So whenever I was performing, I just felt like I was at home. So
Hmm.
in essence, the stage was just always my home from a young age.
And I love that you're saying you're from home, like your home, and then Bax 40 Productions is at your family home, like, right? Like that is
Yeah,
very, very special. Can you talk about what you went into putting that together and what obviously inspired you to put it together?
sure. So Back 40 started as Caleb's brainchild. Caleb's my brother, the other half of Instant Rivalry. Where I'm sitting right now is about a 30 by 30 room. My brother and I used to know this as our parents' garage.
Mhm.
And we were recording music from a young age. And it was really, really hard for 14, 15, 16-year olds to be able to afford $15,000 albums when we were recording. So we thought, why not build a studio so we can record our own music? So we did that, and then we started recording other artists, and then from there we started doing live sound and producing and promoting events around Prince Edward County and in Prince Edward County. So it just kind of flourished from there, and it's at home. This whole studio is made up of repurposed barn boards from our family farm, and
Mhm.
all the decor is basically stuff that we would have found around my family's homes over the last 150 years.
That's amazing. I've been in there, and we did a photo shoot there for Spring Awakening for Shatterbox. And you were talking about that. And I just thought that was really special. The energy that you must get from the wood and and the items around you just kind of lift you up and inspire you in what you're doing. You are insanely talented. Like, I had no idea, aside from like what I'd seen from you performing. And I met you last year and just automatically fell in love with you and what you're doing for our community. But just to know all these other sides of you, which is really cool. And I don't know if a lot of people actually understand how much you give to the industry and the community outside from just knowing you as Instant Rivalry. So I think that's really, really cool. Like, you wear a lot of hats, and that really is it gets my juices going, because I love working with people like that can actually put a whole project together and understand all the facets of it, which is really, really cool. So you talked about your influences, early influences like your grandmother and your family. Are there anybody right now, as far as any performers or producers that you've worked with that have influenced your career as a musician?
That's another good question. So past like family, I was always drawn to really really strong women such as yourself. People like Joan Jett, Stevie Nicks, Shania Twain, Miranda Lambert. I've always loved getting into women that empower other women and other people. I think that that's very important. I work in the country music industry where women kind of get 15% of the radio play, where men get the rest. So I'm always drawn to women empowering women.
Mhm.
As for producers, my brother and I are really into a producer named David Cobb, and we actually kind of used him as a reference when we produced our own album, Whiskey and Lead, just to get that really raw, honest feel through our music. So those would, I guess, be my biggest influences when it comes to music and producing.
Yeah, and I love that you said raw and honest, because I find that very much so in both you and Caleb. Like, you're very we're drawn to you because you are so open, and there's a lot of ownership that you take in the work that you do, and the fact that you can put a whole package together is incredible. So you talked about Whiskey and Lead, which is awesome. I got to stage manage that production, which was incredible, and it is the complete package. Like, that album from top to bottom, there's a lot of care that went into that, and it took you guys a while to produce that. And and that's incredible. So maybe talk a bit about what the album was like to put together.
Sure.
And it's obviously a huge testament to what you do, because you're not only a songwriter and a performer, you're a producer. Is there any particular part of that process that you enjoyed most?
Ooh, that is a really good question. So when it came to producing our own album, there were tons of outside factors that made Caleb and I end up controlling the entire process of production that I won't get into. But we wrote the album. We went to Nashville and we did some of the recording here at Back 40 for the 15-song album. We did all of the photography that you see on it. The only thing that we relinquished out was the graphic design for the album. We selected the musicians that were on it. We crafted every session, and we did what was called live off the floor, which is a method of recording that really isn't done anymore because there's too many mistakes. And we
Mhm.
wanted to take those mistakes and keep them in the music to keep it, again, as raw and honest as
Mhm.
possible. My personal favorite part of those processes um, really has to come down to the writing. I've always been a writer. I like to take a moment in time, whether that be a story of someone else's or my own, and I like to immortalize that in song.
Mhm.
And I really love getting into the psychology of music. And through writing and through producing, you can make a listener feel our intent with between the melody, the words, the way that they're sung. Every phrase, every harmony holds a really special place, and we put the care into every aspect of our songs to make them dynamic, but really to give a listener the biggest feel. So for me, the best part of the entire process is always writing.
Mhm. And it takes somebody who can craft it really, really well and to bring that authenticity to do such a great job. And I find emotionally pulled, but quite a bit of your songs actually, even the ones that are really fun. It's just like you get sucked into it. But
Thank you.
Little Farmhouse in particular is, I mean, that is an incredible song because it's dedicated to your grandmother and inspired by your grandmother. And I just love it. I think it's probably one of the most gorgeous pieces I've heard in a very long time. And what I love about you is that you just kind of hit upon all the points that I really love about theater and about putting a production together. It's just you're not just paying attention to the words and delivering them, it's the whole process. And I think that's why you maybe are a little bit enticed by theater. I mean, you talked about the first thing you were doing when you were really young, you were going around singing The Sound of Music of all things. So there's a performer in there. Uh, I talked a bit about the community stuff that you have done and that your brother have done together as Instant Rivalry. You do a lot of great work. But what I admire most, I would say, is the work that you guys do with the young people in the county, especially with the rock. So, can you just tell our listeners and our watchers a little bit about what is the rock for those that don't know, and how did you get involved with them?
Okay. The ROC is a acronym for the Recreational Outreach Center.
Mhm.
It is a program specified towards youth within Prince Edward County. They do everything from tutoring to finding homes for homeless kids. They feed children. They provide them with a safe place to talk. They have social service aspects of the business and a lot of educational factors as well. And they have struggled to keep afloat a music program as well, and that's kind of where I came in to work with the Rock, and the great ladies that work over there, and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
So years ago, Caleb and I actually started performing music together through rock coffee houses. They were little open mics, and that was kind of how we got started because we were desperate for a place to feel safe and to be able to get our creativity out there through music. And we didn't feel like school really was that place for us due to bullying at the time. And over the years, I always wanted to give back to kids and give them the things that I didn't have when we were in high school. So in 2018, The Rock puts on every year they put on these, they call it the Rock and Review.
Mhm.
And it's a chance for the community to see upcoming artists in our community perform at the historic Regent Theater stage. And a lot of these kids would never get the chance to play on a stage like that without this program. But the whole program was falling apart. They had lost their director, there was no funding. And I felt compelled to get involved and to volunteer and to produce that show with Instant Rivalry. And really, everything that I do there is for the youth. We mentor them, we coach them in their performances and vocally, instrumentally. We give them the confidence that they need to do well and to perform well, and we patch them up with other veterans in the community of music. And yeah, there's so much. It's so hard to wrap it all up into
Oh,
like a
it really
couple.
is. And that's how actually I officially I'd known of you, but that's how I officially met you actually. It was last year you had approached us through Shatterbox to mentor a young actress, Alice Graham, who I'd worked with. And I thought that was such a phenomenal thing. And to bring the side of like theatrical music to the rock performances. And I've always been a huge supporter of youth in the arts and just how much it can help their confidence, help them feel like they have a community that they can relate to, a sense of ownership, and giving them a voice. And you know, a lot of the young kids have actually approached you for advice, and they're becoming young performers themselves. How does that feel for you? Like, is it must feel quite joyful to see how you're influencing them, just like those people that have influenced you in your career.
It's really touching that they would see me in a way that they would consider me like a mentor or a friend or someone that could provide them with advice. It's really touching because if I can help someone in a way that I wasn't helped out, or in a way that kids wouldn't be helped out if there was somebody, not like me there to help them. Um, it's just really touching. I cry sometimes when I'm alone because I'm thinking, oh man, these kids are so talented, and if
I
only they
know.
knew that, you
They're
know.
I know, they're incredibly talented. I mean, I just look at, uh, y- wonderful actors that we have at Shatterbox, like, Caitlin Harris and Alice Graham and Xavier and David Litke and Jackson and all the high school kids. I'm like, man, if I only had their confidence and talent when I was that age, what I could be doing now. And it is very, very inspiring. And the fact that, you're providing them a really safe outlet and also a very open space to have the freedom to kind of discuss what they want to do. And what I love is that you're now not only mentoring kids in music, but you're now into the acting side of things with Shatterbox, which is really, really exciting. And I was always hoping in the back of my mind there, I'm like, one day we need to capture this Megan Hutton. We need to take her and get her on our stage and see if she can act. So somehow, through the magic of audition process or something inspired you to try your hand at acting. What was that? Do you have
Oh,
an answer? Or was it just like that's the next thing I want to do as a performer?
it's kind of a mix of both. Most people that know me, I'm a fighter. I don't take the
Mhm.
word no very, very easily. Um, for me, it was the challenge. I had a lot of people. It was a really when you posted those auditions for Spring Awakening, it was such a busy time in my musical career,
Yeah,
and I had people telling me, "You don't have time to take on something new. You don't have time to learn how to act. You don't have time to do this. Don't do it." So as soon as I was told no, I was like, "Yes, I will. Watch
awesome.
me."
Thank God they told you not to do
Oh,
it.
I
What would have
know, I
happened
know.
if they didn't? I think you probably still would have. Uh,
Probably,
but I'm very
probably.
excited. I'm very excited that you did because, you are. Is this your? I would have to say, is this going to be your first time really taking on an acting role?
Yes. Now I did one tiny thing when I was 10 in a school
Okay.
production.
Hey, that's cool. That counts. So this will be your second time on stage. But from yeah, when you're 10 to now, we don't say ages, but the teenager that you are now, that you're playing on stage at least. Uh, yeah, I think it's really, really cool. And when you came out to audition, I was very curious because I'm like, I had heard you sing your style of music. And Spring Awakening is one of the most gorgeous scores possible. And I'm like, this is going to be such an incredible opportunity for someone like yourself to challenge yourself and to take the risks to sing a style that people aren't going to be used to seeing you sing. And also to like, now it's like, okay, here's Megan from Instant Rivalry. She's going to come in and audition. What is she going to do for us? So I thought that was really, really exciting. And you came in, and how did that feel? Like your first audition in front of a panel, because it's not just one person. You've got like a panel people that we threw threw you in front of.
I I don't get nervous. I've been performing in front of people from such a young age. I've played in front of thousands and thousands of people, but I'll never forget walking into that audition room because I was so nervous. I was sweating, I was shaking. I thought I was going to hurl, and I couldn't look at you guys. And I
Yeah.
remember walking into that audition room and just I think I had a piece of paper in my hand and I might have sat
Hmm.
in front of somebody, and that had what song I was going to sing and what character I wanted to try out for. I was already nervous because of all those reasons that you just said, but also for the better part of 15 years, I've been singing in this like juicy alto range,
Mm-hmm.
and the character that I was going out for had these really beautiful soprano notes, and I was thinking, my God, what if I can't hit them?
Hmm.
But I really wanted that challenge of learning how to. So I was really nervous. I couldn't even look at you guys, as I'm sure you remember. There was a window above Julie, our stage manager's
Yeah.
head, and I just kind of looked out that window and sang "Whispering," which
Mhm.
was my audition song. And then
It
I looked
was.
down, and somebody was crying.
I think there were a few of us crying. I typically have a poker face. Like or yeah, I call it poker face. I'm not going to call it what everybody else calls it, poker face. And and I couldn't keep it. I was so moved by your rendition of that song. And in fact, even our musical director had to turn away 'cause she was really tearing up. So we're all just kind of like, oh my God, what just happened? And I think you really, really surprised all of us. I think you were really invested in it. You could tell that you were really going for it, and that nervous energy that you brought was stunning. Uh, just to let you know, we get as nervous as the people who audition. Like the three of us were like, "Oh my God!" Like we do because we know what it's like to be there, to be on that other side, and to want something so bad, and to and we're just like, "Oh my God, how are we going to do this?" We all had upset stomachs before we start. We're like, "We have to make decisions here," and it was really nice to see you do something out of your comfort zone. And you do have those beautiful alto tones, and the character that you might have thought, like Marta, who has that kind of raspy sound in the original Broadway cast. But when I direct and when I cast, I like to put people in an uncomfortable position for a good reason, because it's an opportunity for you to grow and to challenge yourself. So when you're like, "Oh, I'm going to audition for Wendla," we're like, "Huh, really?" And obviously, you got the role. You got Wendla, and Wendla is like the lead female role. So, what is it like taking on a lead role as your first endeavor with theater? That's like that's pretty crazy, Megan. But I love that. I love that about you, that you're just like, let's just go for that.
It's a bit nerve wracking, but I'm very much that girl that goes big or goes home.
Hmm.
Um, it, again, it was that challenge. I had read the script before the audition, and even though I was like, oh, maybe I should go for Martha, maybe I should go. I was absolutely in love with character Moritz. If I could have played a boy, I
Oh
love
gosh,
that character.
you should have put
But
it down. I may have cast you as Moritz. I do that, eh? I flip.
but then we wouldn't have Brennan. Oh, I love
And we
that
wouldn't have
bit.
Brennan. Sorry, Brennan. We're not to put you down or anything. You would have played
Love you,
Wendla,
B.
Brennan. Brennan could have been Wendla.
He would have been a great Venla.
Hey,
Great
maybe next time.
Venla. And you know, her story just really, really stuck with me, and it really haunted me. This young girl that just didn't know what she needed to. She was really let down by her mom, and I couldn't shake that story. So I felt compelled to play her over everyone else. No matter how many times I would try to talk myself into auditioning for another character, I always went back to her. Um, and again, it's going to be a completely different experience from Instant Rivalry or any way that anyone has ever seen me perform before. It's something completely new. And I think I needed that in my life, something a little different.
I think so. As creators, we need to refresh and try different things. That's my dog in the background, if you can hear him.
I love
He also
him.
agrees. He also agrees. Uh, yeah, I think it's good for us to do that and to surprise. I think you're really going to surprise people. Really, really. I mean, the ones that know that you've got all that talent behind you, but I think they'll be pleasantly shocked to see just how much you bring, and you bring all that passion, energy you bring every single time at rehearsal. The dog. Uh,
Okay. I miss him so much.
I know. I'm hoping he'll crash, but right now he's distracted. He crashed my last Shattercast. Uh, so yeah, I think, and what I love too is that all the young women in this production are so insanely talented, and the group of you working together is just magical to see. And also, a lot of them look up to you as well. And so you've ended up not only acting the first time as in a lead role, but just taking on another mentorship role in the theater company, which is exciting. So they get to see that strong women can do whatever they want. They can be a musician, and they can produce, and they can act, and they can do marketing. There is no limit. And I think that's really, really exciting that you do not.
Amen.
Yeah. Awesome. Speaking of that, like you just wear 10 million hats. You're not only acting in the show, you're also a part of the choreo team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem really, really well versed in dance. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, have you studied dance? Are you like a closet, watch a bunch of YouTube and teach yourself to dance? Did you take classes? Like, just give us a little bit more insight, because I don't know if many people know that about you.
I feel like after having this interview, I feel like there's like a big closet where like most of me hides, and then you guys get like a little bit of me.
We got a little bit
Um,
of you.
oh, my street cred's totally going down. Okay, so when I was a kid, I took lessons with Ann Ritchie, but my mother was on her way to being a professional dancer and a teacher. before some kids came along.
Oh, those
And
kids.
I think I learned a lot from her growing up, and I still do. I bounce all of my choreography ideas off my mama before
Amazing.
I bring them to you. But really, I've always been that girl that learns everything on her own for the most part. So YouTube videos, yeah, that's
You're of that
where I'm at.
age,
I'm like
so
doing like lyrical dance by myself. It's
yeah.
awesome.
Lyrical dance by yourself is the best feeling ever. I do that all the time. In fact, at one point I had this one room that was completely empty, and when I had the house to myself, I would just turn the music on and just dance like crazy, like do whatever I
And
wanted. I think there's something so
it's
powerful
good for
about
the soul.
it is
So
really
good
good
for
for
the
the
soul.
soul. It is the movement and just feeling something, the emotion. I think lyrical really pulls a lot out. And there are going to be lyrical elements to the show. There's also hip hop elements, and you can do some hip hop moves. I saw some
Yeah.
hip hop. Yeah, yeah. You brought a little bit of the hip hop flair there, and of course Sonia, who's part of the team, and Brennan. You guys work really, really well together. So we just
I
have
love and
a
respect them
fabulous
so
team.
much. I love working with them so
Yeah,
much.
I mean this whole team is incredible. I think we really lucked out and just got a great cast and a great crew that works really well together. And we'll be getting to know them a little bit more in some future Shattercasts coming down the line. Now, you talked about your mom kind of dancing and stuff. I heard through the grapevine that she used to actually do theater as well. Is that so? That's
She
pretty
did.
cool. So maybe that little thing comes from your mama.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
My dad acted a little bit as
Did
well,
he?
but
Awesome.
my mom was a professional actress. Like she got paid to do her thing, and she
That's
was
cool.
absolutely incredible. So
I
yeah,
really
I
hope
get
we
that from
can
my mama.
I hope we can get her up on our stage sometime. That would be really, really cool. I love your mom.
I tried hard with Spring Awakening.
We'll have to find another show. I've got many, many, many shows that I think your mom
Oh, I
would
know you
be
do.
great in. So we talked a little bit about how you write your songs a lot. Like, how do you come up with your ideas for some of those songs? And would
I
you
should know.
ever, would you ever consider writing for theater?
Good question.
Hmm.
I'm gonna long way my way into that one. So going
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to your choreography question, I how I was saying earlier about the psychology of songwriting, I like to
Hmm.
bring that into my acting as well as the dance moves that you see. So
Hmm.
everything is just so intentional and so purposeful. Um, yes, I have written stuff in the past. When I was in school, I used to write plays and productions for my peers to put on. Um, Never a musical.
Hmm.
However, there might be one that's in the works.
That would be amazing. I would be over the moon. I was just gonna say, would you ever consider writing a musical? Because I think that would be incredible. I
It's
and I,
like
there's one song. I mean, when you just performed, you did this song, and I thought this song it was probably Little Farmhouse. I was picturing it as like a set piece and how things were gonna work and flip flopping from like the young kids to the grandparents. Like I was just like the way that you write is very conducive to doing something as a musical. Just so you know.
there's a couple of songs from the album, one of them being Catching Me.
Mm.
Um, it's just a song about, running after your
Mhm.
dream and not letting anybody tell you no. But that song, when it first was written versus how it ended up being produced for the Whiskey and Lead album, it had this huge like musical theater feel
Mm.
behind it in the beginning. And it really kind of got my mind working around maybe you could write something for TV. So there's actually a
Mhm.
few of our songs that are being looked at for movies and television, but I think it would be so cool to
Amazing.
write a production.
Yeah.
After hearing about Sarah Bareilles and all
Mhm.
the work that she put into her like waitress,
Yes.
I was really moved. And it was really that moment, which was I found out about all this the summer that you guys were getting ready to do your auditions.
Mhm.
And it was the final kicker for me that was like, oh, maybe a musician can get into theater because she was amazing in that.
Oh, yeah. And I think it would just, again, just heighten what you're already doing and what you learn from doing theater, you can take into music. I mean, you already have the core foundation from being a performer already on stage as a singer. And I mean, you bring the house down. I mean, you're literally, you know, being a complete, I wouldn't say actress, very authentic on stage when you do it, but you know how to work the stage, you know how to work the audience and get the best out of them. And you work off the energy of the audience, which is very similar to theater. So I just really can't wait to see this whole product complete and see you in like the full get up as Wendla and the full choreography, and then hopefully one day we will get to maybe produce a little Megan Hutton project. That would be amazing.
That
What
would
if
be amazing.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Maybe something with accents because we like doing the accents. Maybe something with a dog in
A
the
dog?
background. Yeah.
Like a
Maybe
dog
I'm the only one
hair.
that could hear him barking right now, but no,
No, he's there. I love him.
my barking alert on Furbo just went off. It's like your dog is barking. Click to see what's wrong. Um, I like to go
I
off
love
on
your
tangents.
Furbo app. Like we'll sit guys in marketing meetings and her Furbo app goes off and
Yeah,
we all are like crouched around her phone looking at
they're
her beautiful
barking.
dog.
Let's feed him a treat. Send Blue a treat. And the funny thing is, like, you can actually record your message on Furbo if you want, instead of like something generic. So I've been doing some voiceover work, and so I thought just for a joke, I would just do like a computerized version of my voice. So it's like, Blue, you're a good boy, whatever that is. But anytime I say, Blue, you're a good boy, he's like runs straight to the Furbo, and he's like right in front of it, just waiting for that treat to fly out. But he's trained. He's a beauty. Are you a
I love
beauty, Blue? Where are you? You're off set. They can't see you.
Oh no, because he said what you said. He's probably run over to the Furbo waiting for
Exactly.
his treat.
He's waiting for the Furbo, and there we are doing our Irish accent. I was hoping we would. We get a little. I think
Together.
Megan might have a little whiskey there. She's got her little whiskey. Have you ever thought about making a whiskey? You and Caleb
I
making your own
love
whiskey for
whiskey.
whiskey and lead. There he is.
Hi,
And you
Boo.
talk some. Hey, Blue, look, it's Megan, your favorite.
Hi, baby.
Hi.
I miss him.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. He loves Megan. He loves you every time you come over.
I'm such a dog person. I'm that person at the
Yeah,
parties that's like in the corner with the dog.
me too. I would like dogs, animals in general. Like it's like this is so bad to say, guys. I love people. I love humans. But if an animal got hurt and a human got hurt, I I would run to the animal first. I'm sorry, and then I'll come and help the human. That's just how I am. Uh, yeah, Blue's like thanks. So what have you learned so far with working with Shatterbox?
Everything?
Everything?
Really? Oh gosh.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Oh my gosh, I was looking at a schedule and we have the best stage manager ever who
Oh yeah.
plans every second of every rehearsal.
Mhm.
And I remember seeing a couple words like table work and blocking. And I went up to 14-year-old Alice Graham and I was like, Alice, what does this mean? She looks at me, she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, no, like, what do those words mean? So she sits down, she explains to me what table work means, what blocking is. And I still don't think I got what blocking was because you and I were in a car going to our first band rehearsal. I'd broken my foot,
Oh my
and
gosh.
and I had to ask you what blocking meant. So
Yeah.
there's all the technical terms that I've been
Mhm.
learning. Um, the biggest like learning curve for me is that fourth wall.
Mhm.
Because how many times in choreo am I like, can they dance through the aisles of the theater? And you're like, no, we can't break the fourth wall.
Yeah, for
So
certain
there's that.
productions, yeah, certain productions you can, but this one, and because you're so used to playing with the audience, right? Which is awesome. So now
Totally.
you're like, George is like, no, don't
I'm like,
play with the
oh,
audience. But
but it's
that's,
cool because now you're teaching me so much as a performer
mhm,
that you don't have to base your performance off of audience
mhm,
reaction. You're basing it off of the story that is put before you.
mhm,
I'm not going to joke. This actually might be the biggest thing. You probably don't even know this. I when I got my script before we spent the first 3 months doing the musical end of it, and then we were moving into the acting side in early 2020. And the script is so much more than just reading words on a page, and I'm sure that that sounds obvious to most of you, but it was
mhm,
not obvious to me. I said the word mama. I probably said the word mama 10,000 times, and I
mhm.
still haven't mastered how to say mama,
Yep.
and I will before showtime. But it's really, getting those words in your head so that they become your own thoughts so that you can become that character. It's getting that script out of the way and then finding the ways to best inflect those lines and stuff
Mhm.
is I love it
Yeah,
so
and
much.
that's and it's the fact that you're already catching on to that is incredible because there's some actors it takes a long time for them to be like my character's evolving and I can say this way or I can it could take a while to find the aha moment where you're like, ah, that's how I say it. and you'll say it different each time, I think, each night, each, depending on the energy. But, that's what I love about theater, is just really getting into the meat of
Mm,
the characters and what the playwright's intentions are, like having those in-depth discussions, which has been great during isolation, because
I love those.
online rehearsals, I mean, we've discovered so much more than our original table work because now we have ample amounts of time. But I love that you're learning from the young people as well, because I'm also learning a lot every time we do a show. It's a reciprocal relationship, which I love. And a lot of those young kids will be sitting in our seats very soon and directing us and telling us kind of what to do, which is what I'm looking forward to, because Shatterbox loves mentoring young people, and the arts are where they're at. Like, I just feel like it's definitely helped me develop as a person. So that's really, really awesome. Talking about young people, um, if you could give advice, like, to young performers, what would it be? Or those who are considering getting into performing as a musician, first off, and then if you want to talk a bit about acting, you can. But I think the musician side of things would be great to hear about.
Cool. I'm going to tell you what everybody told me, but I'm going to put a little spin on it. Everybody used to tell me get a day job.
Hmm.
I'm going to tell you get a day job and a night job and an afternoon job and a whatever job, doing something that you love. And
Hmm.
if what you love doing is singing or acting or performing, that's where you make it happen. But to make
Hmm.
it happen, you have to know and understand and be ready for the hard work that
Hmm.
goes behind it. I have been performing professionally for 15 years. There's a lot of practice, there's a lot of growing. You can never stop learning. And above all, you need to continuously stay humble. Nobody likes somebody that's too confident. So it's all about the hard work. If you want it, you got to work to get it. So
Yep.
that's always the biggest piece of advice I give anybody.
Yeah, and I think it's so much more fulfilling when you do that. I mean,
Oh, it is.
look what you and Caleb have accomplished. Like, all of your hard work, it shows, and it's incredible. You have your own studio, you're producing for people. I mean, you're doing all these incredible things, and I'm in awe and I'm inspired. And I think we're really, really blessed to have you as part of the Shatterbox team, and to have you as part of Spring Awakening. I think it's just, I've had the most fun, definitely, working with you in this cast, and I'm really looking forward to the future for Shatterbox Theatre. Yeah, so thank you so much for your time today. This is incredible. And I'm really hoping to get Caleb on, man. I'd love to talk to Caleb a little bit.
Yeah, I should have brought him.
Yeah, you should have. Is he like sneaking around back there? No, but we'll do him, because Caleb is incredible sound producer as well, and sound designer, and he's going to be doing sound design for Spring Awakening. It's the biggest show that Shatterbox has ever done. So we've got an incredible team, and he's part of it. So we like and you guys do such great work for the Regent Theater, and we perform there. So it's kind of nice to be able to work in our hometown and get those kids up on that stage. So
Mm.
what's your okay? If we could, once we finish Spring Awakening, what would be your next musical or show? Like, what would be, just to cap this? We talked about Sound of Music to start with as a kid. What would be your next theatrical endeavor if you had to choose?
It depends. Are you going to act in it?
Yeah, hell yeah,
Chicago, girl. You heard me.
Chicago. Yeah,
Chicago? Oh,
yeah, yeah. I'm missing on stage. I'm missing getting up on the stage. Yeah, I could do me some Velma, maybe
yeah, you could.
Velma,
I'd
maybe
love
Big
to hear
Mama.
it.
I'm not sure.
The
But
cell
yeah,
block tango is my jam.
yeah.
I actually thought about the cell block tango when I wrote our first radio single, Hoedown, because it's maybe about the same kind of thing.
That's
I thought
amazing.
about that song.
You could do a county version of that.
Could I think I honestly next to Chicago, I would really like to write something. I'd like
I think
to
writing
get
something would be
behind the
great.
scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be fun to do something that you've written.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you for your time today. Incredible. I'll be tuning into your next live broadcast, which is going to be coming up every Tuesdays and Fridays, right? For Instant Rivalry.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if you're a musician or a performer and you want some stuff produced by the team at Back 40 Productions. I'm going to post their information as well. So you're going to get to find out about Instant Rivalry, pick up their CD, Whiskey and Lead, if you don't have it already. Come see Megan Hutton on stage in Spring Awakening like you've never seen her before. And check out Back 40 Productions for any work that you need for musical. Hey, we did our shots there. Not a musical, but we did our photography there. You can even rent their space for some cool photos, man. Check it out. Thank you.
Thanks, G.